Hey, I know you're ready. Welcome to the St. Michael podcast. Yeah. Hey, welcome to the St. Michael podcast. One man's attempt at business, family, and comedy. I am your humble and gracious host, Michael Aigbedion. And thank you for joining me. We are at episode 22. Let's go. Let's get it. Episode 22. Episode 22. Let's get it. Yes, we're here. And I already know that you're feeling a little bit tired. It's been a long week. Matter of fact, it's been a long year. This first half of the year has felt like 10 years compounded. Woo, man. I know you're tired because, man, since the last episode, I'm talking about, we have protests, we have rioting, we have looting, we have pandemic, we have all these things happening. And it's very heavy. It's very heavy because this is not the world that you imagine, especially for the year of 2020, where you thought it's going to be pure clarity. You say, this is going to be the year of my vision, 2020. I'm going to get it. And yet it can still happen. But yes, it has been a hard and a heavy year so far, let alone week, because we're dealing right now with police brutality and how it affects the Black community. Because, my wife asked me this question earlier today, and it was to me, it was very profound because she asked me, have you ever seen a turtle run? And, just so you know, it's like, have I ever seen a turtle run? And you think about it, it says, nah, I haven't. And she was like, yeah, I was driving today. I was on the road and, way ahead, I saw like a turtle. And this turtle was he just running across the road. I was like, what? Is that a turtle? And then, but by the time I'm getting close, I'm slowing down and I come to a stop and the turtle stopped, looked at me. And then the turtle went, like when I came to a full stop, I was going to take a picture actually, but then this woman was looking at me, but the turtle looked back and then it started running again. And then it popped up on the sidewalk. And she's like, I've never seen a turtle run. Have you? And I was like, nah. But, the reason that was so profound to me is that we have a narrative when it comes to turtles. They're slow. Yes. And when you ask if I've ever seen it, no, I haven't seen it. But it doesn't mean it's impossible. It doesn't mean it's impossible. And it doesn't mean that it can't happen. And that she witnessed it and she was in shock. She was like, I wish I had video. I was in shock of seeing it. I've never seen that. And, it helps me reflect back to, this country that in the last, since the beginning of this country, Black people have been getting violated. And even when like police were doing it and for the last however long, and you're thinking the narrative on that is like I haven't seen any change, but doesn't mean that change is not coming. Change is coming. Like it's not impossible to see change. And the only way to understand how to change the narrative from what you know already about the police departments and about how police people, at least in this context, speaking about George Floyd, how they treat Black people, you have to understand first how police departments work. And if you want to know how police departments work, the first thing you should look at is follow the money. When you follow the money of any company or any organization, you will see exactly how it works. You will see what's priority to them. You see what's most important to them. And when you follow the money, you figure out the systems and why they have the systems they have. Victoria's Secret, which you can see where Victoria's Secret is now, you can't get hours. You can't, if you're a cashier or you work there, you can't get hours unless you sell credit cards. That's what they're saying. You cannot get, on schedule. You can't get heavy hours if you're not selling credit cards. And Blockbuster, what they were doing is that they were they were charging late fees that were 10, 20, 30 times the amount of what the actually DVD, a $10 DVD, you could have late fees up to $200-$300 for that particular DVD. And when you look at it, Blockbuster, that was 60% of their profit was coming from in late fees. Now, if you look at these two companies, what they were doing and where they're at now, at least for Blockbuster, they're not anywhere at all, is that they're preying on their own customers. That was their business model, was preying on their own customers. And that system cannot last because you're not focusing on providing better service for your customers, providing better quality entertainment or better quality products for your customer. You're focusing on the wrong things, which is preying on your customer. Best Buy does it too. You can't get hours at Best Buy unless you're selling those extended warranties. That their biggest revenue maker for Best Buy is their warranties. So what they focus on is getting those salespeople to sell those warranties, get those warranties, get those. They're not focusing on providing more convenience or going online or anything like that. So you can see why these places struggle, and if you follow the money with a police department, you understand that, okay, if we use Houston PD, so Houston Police Departments, it costs $850.4 million to run, at least as of 2017. That's how much it costs to run Houston's police departments, right? 35% of that money comes from the city's general fund. Now, where does the rest come from? If you look, they make a few dollars by doing private events, public events, like securing those for people, right? But where do they get the rest? They get the rest from its own community. That's where it changed. Where it changed from serving and protecting the community that you're in to now citing and collecting. And the reason why, when you're a police officer, when you go from being a police officer to now a salesperson, where you got to bring in revenue for your police department, so your police department can have all the new cars and all the new leases and equipment and all the new technology, all the cool cities got. When you look at this, they're saying you need to get out there. What numbers are you bringing in? You need to get out there. You need to find some crime. That's what you need to do. They tell those people out, you need to get out there. You need to find some crime. Do your job. And then, do you think that police officer, like I'm here in Dallas, do you think that police officer is going to go to them high-end places like Highland Park Village or Preston Hollow to make their quota? No. They're going to go to those vulnerable communities, the communities where there's not very many voices that are being heard in those communities. And then they're going to drive by, and just figure out how can I figure out who can I bring in? They're going to drive by this park, and they're going to find someone who looks a little bit too old to be in a park, and they say, hey, what you doing over here? He says, I'm minding my business. What you mean? He says, no, come over here. Because he has to get this job. He has to bring this quote in. And, when that person's like, why are you messing with me and all that? And a confrontation happens, he arrests them and puts that person in the system. That person gets in the system, has to post bail revenue. Then that person has to do probation revenue. That's how they make money. Why do you think the low income and the worst areas, at least public areas, have speed traps? They actually design streets to actually have speed traps built in for the community and the police department. So when a homeless person, when they got that hot spot where they get all these donations and everything from people who drive by, they tell all the other homeless people, hey, this is my spot. I got a hot spot. You go find somewhere else. I've been making a lot of money from this little area. So, until this dries out, then you can have it. But hey, this is my spot right now. That's what police do. Police say, hey, I got this speed trap, and where I hide my vehicle, I'm talking about I'm getting 30, 40 citations a day from this spot. You need to go find your own little speed trap, because this is my speed trap. This is my spot. You know how much I'm collecting from this area alone? So when they cite you, they target you, and they target those who don't have a voice. That's why it always affects Black and brown communities, because part of the system of a police department is to prey on its own community. That's how the income and the revenue comes into that. And so until that changes, you're not going to see differences in police brutality, because they're not going to go to these high income areas or these high end areas where the property taxes take care of everybody. They're going to go to the places where there's not very much property tax, and that the people of that community don't have a voice. And then they're going to bring them in, and they're going to bring them in as many times as they can. When we talk about people like Philando Castile, he's the one who had the gun license, who was shot in front of his girlfriend and his daughter. And did you know the police arrested him 50 times? Stopped him. Oh no, they stopped him 50 times before that fatal time. They knew who he was, and they kept. When you find someone who doesn't have their stuff together and they target you, that's easy money for the department. That's easy money. They target cars that have dents in them, cars that have tape on the windows. They target cars that have bumpers and aren't all the way good, or taillights that aren't together, because anything that indicates on your vehicle that you don't have your stuff together, they know it's easy money. He must have a warrant. He must have a driver's license that's not valid, or he must have some issue, because you could just tell by his car and by his skin tone that he doesn't have everything together. And if you're one of those people, you're getting pulled over, and he's going to find something. There's so many rules that are bent to make sure that police has the leverage to bring you in, because bringing you in is bread. That's money for the police department. And, we talk about like things like mass incarceration. So we lose focus on the fact that mass incarceration in this country is at a local and state level. Do you know 88% of all, incarceration is at a state and local level? Only 12% is at a federal level. So the majority of people who are in jail, and majority of people who are being arrested and all that, are being put in state and citywide jails. So you got to understand that all these private prisons, all these things have to do with how do they make money. And a police department, their goal is to prey on its own community. And it sucks. When you see, it happens when you have like a migrant worker. When a migrant worker is visiting this country, or they're on a temporary visa and they're working in whatever capacity, if their boss or their manager or whatever is a predator, and they violate that migrant worker, the migrant worker says nothing most of the time. Why? Because they're vulnerable. If they say something, they could lose their status. That's why they're preyed upon. Same thing happens in the black and brown communities. They're preyed upon because you're not going to make that money in those high income areas. So you just have to understand how these things work. They even introduced something called asset forfeiture during the war on drugs. And as you see, we lost that war. The war on drugs, if you're suspected to be trafficking drugs or selling drugs or anything, just being suspected, a police could pull you over, seize all your money, seize your vehicles, sell it, bring that revenue into the police department, all without you being convicted, all without a warrant. So that's called asset forfeiture. They've collected billions of dollars from its own community just by asset forfeiture. And the people who it affects, they know it's illegal, but when no one knows that this is taking advantage of its own community, then, people don't think that it has an effect on them, but it does. And if this is a world that you want to live in where, you don't have to worry about ever being victimized, because there's some people who don't have to worry about that, but if you want a better system for everybody, you have to make the system better for anybody who's affected by it, so that means that you have to change over and swap the way that we bring in money. So money has to, bring in money to police departments. It can't be based on preying on your own community. It must be changed into the police department being funded by the city itself through either property taxes or collections of other fees or toll roads or whatever it is, even though I effing hate toll roads, but it cannot be police departments can no longer be funded by preying on its own community, because as long as a police department preys on its own community and that police officer is a salesperson, they will go to the most vulnerable. And when you find that the most vulnerable are the people who are the most affected, you'll see that they're black and brown. So that's the way that works. And, when we focus our efforts and our actions and our grievances towards the White House or the president, the federal, they have, state and local municipalities have the right to refuse federal incentives to create any type of criminal justice reform. They don't have to accept it. These are more like suggestions. Like these states are pretty free when it comes to, how accountable they are to changing anything when it comes at a federal level. So we should be focusing our grievances and the changes towards the mayor, towards the governor. The mayor is in charge of the police departments. The governor is in charge of the sheriffs. They're the people who are in charge. So while we're being distracted with trying to protest towards the wrong people, we should be protesting to them. We should be protesting to the mayor. We should be protesting to the governor, holding them accountable, saying, are these things going to change? Because if these things don't change, police brutality will continue to happen. And on top of that, they're sitting right now, they're sleeping cozy because no one really knows that they're the people responsible for all this police reform and all that, So even the contracts, before you hire a police officer, written in the contracts are ways for them to get out of bad behavior on the job. So these contracts need to be reevaluated and amended and to support more servant protection of the community. That's what it is. Like they need, police departments were focusing now on right now, like at least it has been for since I've been here, is militarizing themselves and intimidating themselves. When I see a police officer, first thing you think of is, okay, let me get out their way, because they have a certain level of power and it's always it's to intimidate you. That's part of it. When you go to a mall and you see those security guards who get hired in the mall, what's the first thing they do? If that security guard has a chip on his shoulder and he wants to get respect, that security guard, he goes to whatever surplus store and he gets all the gear to make him look like a police officer, because they know that if you look like a police officer, you're going to intimidate people. That's the way that police officers are looked at nowadays. So that's why it's changing from like protect and serve to, to cite and collect, So right now we need to make sure that, we reposition and realign what the police goals are, to where it's not based on, supporting their bad behavior because it is getting hard. Look, I know when it comes to hiring employees, it's very difficult to find good people. I understand that. So I can imagine for a high stress job like being a police officer, trying to hire, or trying to fire someone, and you're like, it's hard enough, keeping people. But if you understand, if you improve the system of what you're doing to serve your community, everything improves. That's the goal. But people don't have that. People don't understand the preventative measures against these type of things, because if Blockbuster revise and try to figure out how they can provide better service and better things for their customers, Blockbuster would be here now. And they probably would have bought Netflix instead of succumbing to Netflix. Victoria's Secret will be better improved now, better products, better design, better everything, instead of just looking to prey on its own customers. But instead, people are too used to having it the way they've been having it so far, and it's been working for them. If as you know, I'm Nigerian, and in Nigeria, there is not consistent light. There's something called NEPA, which they take your light on and off, so there's no consistent light. So most homes have generators, and the generator industry in Nigeria is a $1 billion industry. Now, you would think that the city and the country would improve if they would provide consistent light for its citizens. But no one wants to interrupt the billion-dollar generator industry. That's why it's so inefficient. And people get used to this because, who wants to give up power? But you have to understand, we have to change these things at a local and a state level. Because if you're, and I know I'm bringing a lot of information here, but I hope, you're catching up, and I hope that you feel my urgency on this, because I'm directing all my energy towards the mayor. I'm directing all my energy towards the governor, because that's where the change is going to come from. And I want to push this message out to as many people as possible. So therefore we could really create change and really direct our efforts, because, what's happening during protesting is that you need to understand that there are different ways to protest. There's ways to protest by, bringing your voice to the cause. There's ways to protest by giving your money or time to organizations that support the cause and the goals that are trying to be met, and right now you're starting to see a lot of celebrities, and, which I don't think that we should be giving these celebrities that much power anyways, because they're no different than you and I. So when you look at these celebrities to see how they're using their platform and how they're speaking against certain things, you have to understand, if right now when there's crisis that's going on in anybody's life, you need to understand that you need to say the things that are either going to help the cause or be quiet. Also, when you're not quiet and when you say the wrong things that don't help the cause, it's like your distractions are showing. Like we see we're literally witnessing you that you're distracted with the wrong things. Like if right now with this whole George Floyd situation, if you're focused on the looting, or if you're focused on the rioting, or even focused on the bad things that happen due to protest, then you're showing that you're distracted. That has nothing to do with the goal. And guess what? Mistakes will happen. Issues will happen. If you're going into this thinking that, this needs to be perfect, and when something happens, like a citizen is either killed or a police officer is injured or killed, or anything happens that, now I don't support the cause, I don't support the goals. First off, things will happen when there's stress and there's pressure put upon, things that require change. This is what you call growth. There's collateral damage that will always happen. So if you go into this and saying that it should be completely clean and there should be no issues and no one should get hurt and there should be no complaints, you're in a fantasy land. That's just not how it works. Like I always see it where people would hire people, and I always reference this back to like business. You hire somebody, and then whenever something bad happens or that employee makes a mistake, you get so upset and you reprimand them, you do certain things as if you didn't know that people make mistakes and that accidents happen. No one is perfect. So that's why I say, if you're not for the cause, then you need to be completely quiet, because you're showing that you're completely distracted with the wrong things. The right things right now is to figure out how we can create a better system that supports its community. That's all we need to focus on right now, because George Floyd did not have to lose his life. And imagine the way he lost it. It was such a blessing to even have that be filmed, because I only watched it once and it was tragic. And as soon as I watched it, I called my dad and I was like, this is different. This one is different. He was tortured in front of everybody. And then to find out there was two other officers that were also kneeling on him and holding him down. And there was another officer who was complicit in the whole thing. And luckily, the charges have been changed. It was a third-degree murder charge that, they had him on. Now it's been raised to second degree, even though I think it should be first degree. I feel like what he did was cold blood murder. And, the other officers now have been arrested for aiding and abetting a murder. But, again, when we talk about what needs to change, we need to change it at a local level. We need to focus on the local municipalities. In Ferguson, it's 2/3. Ferguson is 2/3 black, but yet the government representation is almost 100% white. So the community that is served, the community that's served is not representative in any way, gender or race. Not saying that you should just get people just because there are certain races that it needs to be reflective that people know how to communicate with the people they most relate to. That's important. It's just so important that you know how to relate to the people that you're trying to communicate with. And when you get different news, like what's happening right now, where news is coming from everywhere, and people are showing things that don't put their own people, or don't put you know their beliefs in jeopardy. That's what's happening. Like when I get news, at least from the people I'm around, I get news that shows black people not doing anything bad. They're the ones who are the victims. And then, white people are getting news where white people aren't doing anything bad. They're the victims. So we're sharing all the worst parts. So with the protesting, the rioting, the looting, white people are being shown all these black people doing bad things. And then black people being shown, look at the white people who are doing bad things. So right now, we're trying to talk to each other, and we're getting two different pieces of information, and we're making two different assessments, and we're always trying to figure out, who's at fault. But see, everyone's distracted. You're all distracted. The whole goal is to create a better police department, and the only way to know is you got to follow the money. If you follow the money on it to any organization, you will find out the way that it really works. And I would definitely include the information that's needed for you to, try to help in the show notes, because this is a very important cause. And I didn't want to focus any of this on any particular jokes, because there's nothing really funny about this. I didn't want to talk too much about, business and all that, because right now we are at a crisis. You need to say the right things right now. You need to be able to lead and show people and give clarity, because right now there's too much noise. And I hope that this cuts through the noise, because I'm definitely going to keep pushing this message of how police departments make money. And once we change that, you will see that police will have no reason, or at least not I wouldn't say no reason, not at all, but at least they'll have less of a reason to go into underserved communities and to prey upon them, because there'll be no incentive to do so. The only thing they can do is just respond to emergencies. That's it. No longer preying on this community. As long as the community is bringing in what it needs to, so that community can get better, the police need to support that. And whatever I could do, please let me know, because there's a lot of causes that are that are out right now that are supporting the issue of trying to stop police brutality, and it can happen. Just because you haven't seen it in the past, or just because you didn't see any changes in the past, doesn't mean that it's not coming. And it's funny because sometimes when there's a lot of things happening, like, crisis or whatever, I always wondered, why is it that sometimes I'm like, how bad can it get? I always thought that was like a weird way of looking. I'm like, how bad can it get? Because when things are bad, I'm like, could it get any worse? And I always thought that was a weird way of thinking. But here's the reason. What contributes to that is the fact that the bigger the problem, because I love speaking the language of solutions. And the bigger the problem, the bigger the solution. I want to see what kind of solution could come from this. And you saw what solution came from, or solutions that are coming from waste. Elon Musk with electric vehicles, or bioplastic that's coming to replace all the plastic that degrades in a year. All because look how big the problem is. And when you see how big the problem is and how hurt the country is, just imagine how big that solution is going to be. That's what I get geared up for. That's what I get happy about. I'm like, ooh, this solution is about to be big, because when you're put under that level of pressure, you got to find an answer, because our first and foremost thing that we do for ourselves is survival. And when your life is under any type of duress or stress from whatever it is that you don't have in control, you're going to say, okay, what do I need to do? What solution do I need to contribute towards so these things could change? So thank you so much for listening to me talk about what needs to happen going forward. And I hope that I was able to share some level of light, so therefore we could start contributing towards this change. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. I know that you're about to enjoy such a great conversation because, man, these conversations with me and my wife have been getting better. We're just loving it. The energy that we feel after, we love it, you know? So, but yeah, tell me what you think. I will definitely love your feedback. If you want to communicate with me, you can contact me on any social network by @SayMichael. You know, tweet me @SayMichael. You can hit me up on IG @SayMichael. You know, Snapchat @SayMichael Jr. Facebook @SayMichael Jr. Hit me up because the more we converse about this, and this is just not for just the Black community, this is the African community too. If you're Black or if you're brown or if you have any type of melanin in you, you could be affected and you don't want to become a victim because that's what it is. You know, when it comes to, okay, remember like the weather? People talked about like climate change isn't a big deal and all that. And people started seeing Australia burn and then, you know, they start to care. See, you're not going to start to care until it comes at your door. That's the thing about it. When the weather comes to your door and it starts messing with your property and all that, then you're going to say, okay, what do I need to do? That's the same thing here, is that you don't want ever for it to be a position where you're like, okay, what do I need to do now? Because now I'm affected. I didn't know this was going to happen. No one wakes up in the morning and think they're going to be part of any type of nonsense or wahala. Nobody. So do what you can. Raise your voice. Put your time and effort in the right places. Again, it's about your benefit too. But if you do have any extra time and any extra, you know, anything to give, even financial, please direct that. I'll have some things in the show notes for you to donate to and to give your time towards or volunteer towards, because this is a big issue. I know you probably got a lot of things going on in your life, as I do and everybody else does, but you know, we do have time for extracurricular activities, and right now there's no sports, not until a few months. So hopefully we could make some change together. So enjoy this conversation. Thank you so much for joining me. It's such a good convo. And always remember, stay flossing. You know what I mean? Like, cause your boy's still flossing. I gotta remind you, I'm still flossing here. No matter all this that's happening in the news and what's been happening this whole year, I'm still flossing every day, day and night. I'm still flossing. Okay? So, see y'all later. Peace out. Hey.
What up?
How are you?
Man, what a day, what a week, what a month, what a season it has been.
Boss lady.
Well, you know what I'm saying? I had to represent for my bosses out there.
Did you, are you familiar with the term tea lady?
I actually learned that when no, this was before I went to college in Lamar. My cousin, y'all know who she is, Brianni. Mm-hmm. She went to high school in Houston. And she would always tell me, yeah, like they call their moms like tea lady. I'm like, that sounds like auntie. Like that's something you call your aunt, you know? Like, yeah, auntie.
Go to my tea lady house.
Yeah, I'm going to my tea lady. I was like, who your tea lady? My mom. I'm like, what?
When I saw that shirt that said boss lady, I was like, oh, tea lady.
Oh,
that's
my
what
God.
Kind of remind me of.
Nah, I'm a boss.
Yeah, you said it's been a long day, long week, long everything.
It's been long, yeah.
It has been. It's been a little bit heavier. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of things to talk to, and I know in a little bit you got to take the boys to...
yeah, I got to take the boys to the doctor.
Get checked out.
Get checked there.
So I don't want to rush the combo.
Yeah.
But definitely want to have a good one that doesn't...
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what I'm trying to say, really.
What doesn't seem rushed.
Yeah. All right. So what's been going on is the protests and the riots and the looting that has been happening.
Yes.
It's been like a little bit over a week. Like
I think
a weekend.
I think it started like last Thursday or Friday or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty interesting because, you know, coming back off this whole pandemic and y'all getting back into work.
Yeah.
They call y'all out again.
Man.
Based on what they feel like y'all might be under threat at Gucci or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it wasn't just us. It was the whole mall. I mean, we were there Saturday We opened at 11 to the public, and at 12 o'clock, the police officers was like, we're closing the mall. Everybody in the mall needs to get out. We're not letting anybody in. And then at like about 12:45, they cut the lights off on us.
I mean, they cut the
mall cut the lights off in the mall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So even in our store, they shut it down. It was like, y'all need to get out.
Yeah.
So
did that make you feel like
it made
you're
me
under pressure?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because we were rushing trying to get out, and we had customers trying to pay, but we're like, all right, y'all, we got to get y'all out.
Yeah.
And I've been in that mall for almost 6 years, and there's been malls 20 minutes away that have gotten bomb threats and, you know, those type of phone calls and stuff like that. And we continue to stay open. We've never closed for anything like this. So the 6 years that I've been working there, and then for this to happen, I was like, this is really serious. Like, they really taking it seriously.
But they don't even know. Like in Dallas,
yeah.
If you're familiar, okay, I'm from Dallas. You're not.
Right.
You know, when they protest or when things like that happen, you know, no one goes to North Dallas. You know, downtown Dallas is like the place they go,
and that's where they went.
Yeah,
that's where they went. But I think they was just trying to take precautions, you know. And there's not that many stores that open back up in the Galleria where I work. But yeah, I don't know what made them do something different this time. Like I said, I've been there for 6 years, and I've never seen them react this way.
So this one's a little bit different to you.
It was different, yeah. And I felt the urgency, and I was nervous. I was a little scared. I was like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah,
you know. So
and then they called y'all off the day after.
Yeah, we've been
the day following.
Yeah, I've been at home since Saturday about 12:30.
Does it make you? Are you okay with it, or
no?
You're not okay with it.
I mean, obviously for selfish reasons, I would like to go back to work, but then at the same time, you know, we still have to, you know, make sure that we're safe, because as you guys, if you've been watching and following the protesting and the looting, you know, all the luxury brands, they're pretty much targeted, you know. So the looters, they aren't going after, you know, I mean, they are. I think JCPenney's was broken into. There's a few stores that were broken into, but yeah, they're targeting, you know, the big money.
Yeah.
You know, stuff that they can steal and sell, I would think.
Do you feel that takes away from the cause?
Of course. I mean, when it first started happening, I kept questioning you over and over. I'm like, dude, I don't get it. Like, I get the protesting, whether it's peaceful or not, but why are they looting? Like, to me, that didn't make any sense. I get burning up police stations. I get, you know, setting fire to cars and breaking windows. I get that. But when you, like, it seemed like they were targeting specific stores to break into and steal from, to me, it didn't sound like a protest. So you and I talked about it for a couple of days, and then we finally realized, like, oh, it's not the same. It's not the same group. It's not the people who are looting aren't the people that are protesting. These are two separate groups. The looters are waiting for, you know, nighttime to fall, and then, okay, cool, let's break in and steal some stuff. So it's like we kind of realized, yeah, these are two separate groups, because to me, it didn't make sense why protesters would be looting. Yeah,
it definitely is two separate groups. But, you know, when they say, as I always say, like, never let a good crisis go to waste, right?
Yeah.
And, okay, during the whole, you know, the election between Trump and Clinton, okay, Russia was, like, they had a group called Blacktivists.
Okay.
Yeah. They created a group called Blacktivists, and it was one of the, like, most popular groups online. And they wouldn't put fake news, but they'll put very salacious news that would, in essence, kind of create more, like, division between people in America, right?
Yeah.
And they would do the same things with groups, like when it comes to, like, right wing groups or supremacist groups. They'll create these, like, bots and groups to kind of add fuel to the flames, right?
Right.
Okay, people kind of have forgotten that since the election, that people do that now. So when there is a protest, and, you know, based on George Floyd, there's a lot of people who are, like, agent provocateurs, people who are placing bricks in places, or people who are vandalizing, because they know that that it's going to go, like, the issues or the consequences are going to go to Black Lives Matter, not towards them. And the bigger the flames, the more people are kind of pointing the finger at Black Lives Matter as being the issue. You know?
We saw that too. There was a video, and thank God it was caught on film. these two girls who were obviously not black, they were spray painting buildings, Black Lives Matter. And this black girl who's filming is like, why are y'all doing that? That y'all making us look bad. Like we're going to get in trouble. We're going to get blamed for that. And we're not even the ones out here doing that. We're actually having a peaceful protest. But yet two girls, I'm not sure what race they were. I'm not sure. But they weren't black, and they were just going around just spraying Black Lives Matter all over buildings. And it's just like, why? Nobody asked y'all to do that.
But at a time like now, you don't have time to ask people's intentions. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you don't even have time to trust people. It's just basically, like move on from every single incident. Because there's another I guess video of them catching, particularly like, let's say, white privilege happening, where a woman had all this merchandise from a store, and the store just got looted. I mean, talking about it's completely empty, windows broken, clothes taken off the rack, and she has a whole bunch of stuff in her hand. And the news reporter is like, yeah, this woman, I mean, she might be an employee. I think she may be an employee of the place. I don't know if she's like,
okay.
yeah, so
must be nice.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's a lot of confusion. And in that case, that was an example of what people mean by the bias that people have based on skin tone just alone. That if that was a black person, or based on how they look, carrying all that clothes, they would say, look, we get it. We got a looter,
exactly,
in our sights. But then when it was a white woman, blonde hair, with a whole bunch of stuff in her hand, they're like,
she must work there.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she's an employee,
She's just recovering all the items.
Yeah, and then leaving, and then people were hitting like the surfboard stores, black
people ain't up in there.
People getting surfboards, skateboards, like Zoomies and all that,
Wow.
So, and this time, which I'm glad a lot of this is, that's why, and This Is America.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, that's a celly. No, that's a tool, the tool, like this is such a, like having a phone and having a camera is such a tool.
It is.
Because it allows people to witness what they wouldn't believe based on hearsay.
That's very true.
If I was just to tell you that, like the George Floyd thing, if George Floyd situation happened without it being filmed, no one would probably even care.
No.
Because so many people are desensitized to what's already happening. That it's just another story. So the fact that it's caught on camera, and then even based on all the incidences that are happening after that, that are being caught on camera, even on the further police brutality.
Right.
It just causes I feel like it's such a blessing to have that, because now it's hard, because it's hard to refute what you can't argue. You know what I mean? When they say like, don't need to discuss what's already understood or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, that makes sense though.
And having these, but I don't want to take away from the particular issue, even though these things do take away from it. And I know that people want to control the narrative and make sure that it focuses on George Floyd and police brutality. But there are also other things happening, like the pandemic. You know what I mean? Like it's still happening.
Yeah, that's still going on, people.
All this.
Like I get everybody's protesting, but man, if y'all was talking about that second wave, I mean, it's about to come.
Well, there is no second wave, but the first one never stopped.
That's true. Well, the first wave is still going.
Yeah, the first wave is still going.
For sure, I thought Memorial Weekend was going to bring the second wave. But
see, Memorial Weekend happened, a week and a half ago?
Yeah, I think
almost
so.
2 weeks ago. And there's been 19,000 new cases.
So just imagine next week how many new cases with all this protesting going on, not just in the U.S., but all around the world. You look at these pictures, you watch these videos, obviously not everybody's going to wear a mask. That's not the whole purpose of this thing, but I mean,
when it comes to that, it makes you think, you know what I mean? Because, okay, I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
No, you're not.
Yeah, but people, the hard part with conspiracies is that when you do listen to them, they kind of make sense.
Yeah, you try your hardest not to question it, but then you're like, dang, that kind of do make sense. But then you don't want to believe it.
Okay.
At least I don't.
Someone gave an example to what they think. They said, I don't know what to believe right now because there's so much stuff going on. I've been in the house. I don't know what to believe. They're saying that there's a particular person in Houston who will not go out of the house at all when it comes to the pandemic because, he's diabetic. So he's been in the house doing his business, doing everything he needs to do in the house,
Yeah.
right? And he'll go out to do all the necessary things he needs to do. But when it came to the George Floyd thing, he came out to rally and he came out to protest with all the people, and he's at high risk,
Right.
because of his health, right?
Yeah.
So the person was like, hey, I wonder if this was like a ploy to because now that people understand that the coronavirus affects more black and brown than it does Caucasian.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and they're saying like maybe this is the way to get people, because there's no way they could have got him out the house by anything. But when they mentioned this and they caused an uproar behind it, they got someone who's at that level of risk out the house amongst thousands and thousands and thousands of others.
Yeah.
That are also high risk based on demographic and who they are.
Right.
And they got them together with people who, asymptomatic, who knows what they have. And now they're together rallying day after day after day. And, the person was like, half this was a plan to get black and brown people out the house and put them at risk.
I mean, see, that's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, it's a conspiracy theory. Yeah.
Kind of makes sense.
Yeah, you can't really close your ears to everything,
Right.
Because, when you do like open your eyes to really things that are kind of like far-fetched, and you do a little bit of research, you do find out that it's just not all a lie.
Right, exactly.
And then when you watch movies or shows, you remember House of Cards?
I never watched it.
Okay, when House of Cards, it shows you how political and how evil and how when you have power, how you're able to cover things up and control the narrative. And that's kind of like why conspiracy happen, because it shows you that people do have power and people do abuse it.
Right.
But overall, as far as what do you feel like needs to happen, like going forward for you, with this whole, is that too deep of a question for this whole George Floyd
yeah,
thing?
you got me having to think over
Yeah, I
here
know.
extra deep.
But okay.
I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know. Like we talked about this before in other episodes where, sometimes police officers, they abuse, not sometimes, a lot of times they abuse their power. And I don't know, what is that? You know what I mean? Like what gives them that reason to, I don't know, abuse their power? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So you feel like you would like to see more consequences.
Yeah, definitely.
In action when that type of thing happens.
Yeah, but there's so much corruption in the world. I don't really feel like it could happen. I mean, I would like to see it, but as far as like today or tomorrow or next year, I don't know.
That's what is the saddest part about the whole thing is that you would like to have hope, you know what I mean? And have faith that real things will change.
Right.
But, if history is anything true to what's going to happen going forward,
right,
very little. So you have to know what action steps are being taken.
It's just we've been fighting for this for so long. You know what I mean? I'm like, will we even live long enough to even see a change? Our kids, maybe?
If the right action steps are taken,
yeah.
Yes.
Well, I have faith.
You should. And, I feel like if you have any level of talent and power, you should speak up to what, based on what your lane is. If you're a good speaker, or if you're a good writer, or if you could connect people.
Right.
That's where this time, because when people are in a moment of crisis and people are in need, any way you can help, whether it be financially, it's, it sucks. There's an email that I sent off to, the Minneapolis police and the mayor and all that. Someone set it up like where when you swipe up and it puts everything in the boxes that you need to, or you got to pretty much is edit your name and edit sincerely by, all that kind of stuff. Right. Yeah. And I sent that off, and then it bounced back. I was
so
like,
the email address was something?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know what
God.
it was, and
That's
I'm like,
so
how many
funny.
thousands of others, have tried this, and
right.
I mean, it bounced back or whatever. But do you know when you may return back to work? You said
probably tomorrow. But that's it. Every day they keep changing it. So they said if you are scheduled to work Thursday, be prepared to work Thursday. So we'll see. That's tomorrow. So we'll see.
not Galleria. Gucci put out a statement. They put out the
he did the black, our designer did the black square.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I didn't really know too much about it because I haven't been on social media. But you did tell me that that's what everybody's doing. They put Blackout Tuesday or something
Yeah,
on
Blackout
there.
Tuesday.
And he did put, he posted it. And one of my coworkers, he just kind of like snapshotted, put in our group message and was just like, I'm so glad that he's saying something and standing up. And I'm glad too, you know, but if, you know, it's just, I'm questioning everything.
Man,
you know what I mean?
I got a good question.
What's that?
Is social media the issue?
Yeah, it is.
You know, when you think of it, you say, oh, you could spread information to get connected with people. You can look at it almost as a tool.
Right.
Right. But is social media part of the problem?
I feel like it is. I feel like it can be like a crutch too. Because people think, okay, let me just put this black square up and that's going to show my support.
Yeah.
Or let me, you know, type up some comments and post a picture and that's going to show my support. But what is it that you're actually doing to support, you know,
The cause.
Black people, the cause, the protest? Like, what are you actually doing? So I feel like a lot of people are sitting back and they're being quiet, you know, they're not really talking about it with each other. They're just kind of like, oh, I'm not really like in it like that. But then when it's time to put something like a black square where it doesn't really recommend you to say anything, you do that because that's like the easiest thing to do. So I feel like social media is, I don't know. I just feel like.
But do you feel that black square has any impact on the?
I mean, I would hope so. You know, I would hope so because I'm sure if everybody did it, then and you scrolling through Instagram, I'm sure all you saw was black squares. You know, so I feel like it does have a little bit.
It brings attention. Yeah, it brings attention to the issue. Yeah,
right.
And there's right now, I'm glad I'm seeing a lot of people put action items behind it, like sign this petition, do all that. But you know, it's almost like a bombardment because you know everyone learned from the the previous incidences that you have to put things out for people to take action steps. Now you have like 50 different action steps and 50 different things to sign, and you know I've signed and clicked on so many things. It's kind of like you know. One thing might be another organization doing the exact same thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there does need to be a little bit higher level of organization. But when I say like, and it's weird because I'm asking you, is social media the problem when you're off social media pretty much now? Yeah. You know, because you felt that it was a problem before.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. For me personally, I just don't really see the good in it. You know, I don't know. For me, it's just, I'm not promoting a business. So I'm not making money off of it. I'm just like posting pictures of me and my friends and my family, which when I post pictures of my friends and family, they don't get no likes anyway. So I don't even think people really care, you know, about the things that I actually care about, you know? So what am I actually doing it for? You know, am I doing it for other people or am I doing it for myself? Because if I post a picture of myself, why am I posting a picture of myself? Is it for validation from other people, which I know that's not what I want and that's not what I need. So what's the point of me even doing it?
It does make you think because when you put it out, you know, your brain changes a little bit because when you're active on social media, you now do things to support your social media. You know what I mean? Right. Like you need to take that picture so you could post it and put the caption and do all that. And then it makes a moment, like a real moment, like disingenuous.
Exactly.
You know, and that's why I feel like in reflection of this protest that when, you know, a lot of people are doing it, which is, you can say it's a good or bad thing, but a lot of people are doing it because they see that other people are doing it and they don't want to. And then when you compare yourself, which is social media,
exactly.
Comparing yourself, you're like, I don't want to be the person left out. So you take all these signaling, you know, like things that make you look, you know, like you're doing something, but in reality, you're not. There's a woman who, she's a newscaster. I need to get her name, but during the whole thing, she took a photo op where she got a person who was boarding up the front of a retail store. And, you know, it was a Hispanic guy who's like, you know, drilling all the boards in. And then like her boyfriend comes out of the car. She comes up and she said, can I borrow your drill? Borrows the drill, puts her mask on, and she puts it like that.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And the boyfriend's like taking pictures, and she's like, and then like she's like, you know, pretend like she's screwing it in, and then like they got all the pictures. She's like, I got it. She's like, thank you so much. Gave him back the drill, hopped back in the Mercedes, and drove off.
That's what I'm saying. That's social media.
You see what I'm saying?
So whack.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's whack.
So she took off her Twitter. She took off her Instagram because that's part of it. Another girl, you know, workout gear. It's a white girl with blonde hair. Workout gear. Posing in front of a torn down torn down T-Mobile, kind of looking up like at what's going on, and then he's like, got the picture, hops back in the car, drives off.
I mean, you see that a lot though.
Yeah, all the photo
That's
ops.
crazy.
Yeah, and another one was like Karen Civil, which you're not familiar with or whatever, but you know, she had the mask and the, you know, like she was in front of a torn down place, but everything was like designer, and it was like a cool photo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people aren't really showing the ugliness of everything. They're trying to position themselves to get the best picture possible. Who got the best picture possible? Who tried? Is Trump with the whole photo op. Remember the video I showed you?
In front of the church or whatever?
Yeah. Okay.
It was so weird.
Before, you know what made that situation so contradictory is that, okay, that church is a church that started in 1850.
Okay.
Right? And it's a block away from the White House. So every, a lot of, I'm not saying every, but president has, you know, been a part of that church at some moment, whether it be before the presidency or during the presidency, has visited at least once. That's what that church says. It's Episcopal church. Okay. So it's boarded up due to, you know, everything that's going on because it was vandalized, right? Okay. So Trump needs to get a photo op. So he gets all the police, all the Secret Service. They're tear gassing everybody.
So he can go get the picture.
So they're tear gassing and they're assaulting. There's a Australian reporter where they had the police had their shield with the whole police on it.
Yeah.
They hit him, boom, right in the stomach. Dropped his camera, and then you see the picture of someone showing the video of him doing it. I mean, of it happening to him.
Yeah.
And then they show his point of view where he's like,
drops.
when the camera, ooh, and you can hear him.
Oh my
But then
goodness.
and he's like dispersing everybody. They're hitting everybody to move. And then they get the video of Trump like walking as if the area was clear.
Yeah, the video I saw, I didn't see anybody.
Yeah, and I have a video that I'm gonna share where you see like
real life versus Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
and that's
my
exactly
God.
it. That, you know, he put himself in a position to get that perfect photo op. But then when you look at the reality of it, and all the stuff that is created behind the scenes, then it doesn't look so beautiful.
Right,
you know what I
exactly.
mean? And, you know, they put everything together, put it out, you know, just to try to make a statement that he's, you know, a man of the law. You know, he didn't even open the Bible. He didn't
barely, the way he was holding the Bible was kind of weird. I was like, why he holding it like this?
Yeah.
Like, here's me with the Bible, y'all. I was like, what's happening?
So it does make you think, you know, as far as like, what is it for? Like the whole social media, because, you know, once you know, when they say an injustice anywhere is, you know, what is it? I just ruined that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, one injustice is an injustice anywhere.
Okay.
Basically.
I never heard that.
Yeah, and or any injustice or something like that. But it's the same thing as far as mindset wise when it comes to like social media. Yeah. Because one fake thing that you put up, pretty much you could consider everything being fake. I
know.
Because you don't know what to believe.
Right,
you know?
Right. And I mean, I like if for other people when they post pictures of their kids, I like seeing, you know, my friends and family kids grow up and stuff like that. So I'm not like 100% against it. It's just me trying to understand, why do I like or dislike it? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not benefiting, you know, from it. So like I said, if you have a business and that's your platform, then yeah, definitely makes sense, you know? But for me, when I post pictures, I'm like, okay, why am I posting it? What am I getting from it? You know, so it's like, it doesn't benefit me at all. You know what I mean? So
get that.
Yeah.
Well, there's some other questions that, you know, could bring some bigger light to other things, right? During this whole pandemic / you know, protesting. Yeah. And everything that's been happening this year, people are starting to move in together.
Ooh, look at y'all shacking up.
Yeah. And people who never moved in with each other before or stayed with each other at that, you know, you're talking about 24 hours, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. So we have two particular listeners who had pretty much the same exact questions.
Yeah, I know. That was weird, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And they don't even know each other like that. That's the crazy part.
They don't even know each other at all, really. They know. I think they met
once. Okay. Actually, at our
engagement.
And when you proposed, they were there. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're both moving in with their significant other, and they're trying to figure out, how do you transition
I'm sorry, y'all. It's so funny because when we talked about it with my friend, and I was just dying laughing.
Why? Because you they were asking for advice or tips, or you just kind of giving your take?
No,
on the whole thing?
they were asking for advice and tips and asking me questions like how did you deal with it, and it's weird because you and I, we've been knowing each other for so long. It wasn't like a weird transition, I guess, because you know how it is, ladies. Like you at your boyfriend man house every single day anyway. You know what I mean? So you spending the night, you probably go home maybe once that week just to go unpack and pack, you know? So I was at your crib all the time. And then when things got a little bit more serious, after we got engaged, we moved in together, but then it was only temporary. Yeah. So to me, it didn't, I don't know. I was already like,
when you say moved in together temporary, is because we're going from your apartment
to a house. Yeah. So at that time we were pregnant with Idol. Yes. Yeah. So we were in the apartment for a little bit until we bought a home, but because I was at your place so often, I kind of
made it easier.
It made it easier, yeah. Like I already knew your habits, I already knew what I was gonna have to deal with. You know what I mean? Which wasn't anything bad, but guess what? Till this day, I still deal with those issues.
Tell me this. So there's some things I might not know. What were some of those bad habits that you had to figure out?
Let me tell you, y'all. Let me tell you. Yeah. Well, okay. So my thing is, when you do have those issues, when things that your partner does that get under your skin, just talk about it right then and there. Don't hold it in. That was one of my mistakes. I would just hold it in, then one day I would just explode. Boom. Which is, I still do that till this day. So look, I'm still learning. And this was we've been knowing each other for like 15, 16 years, something like that. So, I mean, like,
you can be honest.
Okay,
like, it's all good.
He already knows. The one thing, two things that you do that gets under my skin, but I've learned to deal with it. Yeah. He leaves his socks and his shoes everywhere. Okay, so during this whole pandemic thing, I said, what can I do to control this? Yeah. So I built the shoe rack. And so now when we come in, take your shoes off, put it on the shoe rack. Yeah. But as you can see from over here, your shoes are not on the shoe rack. It's next to the shoe rack.
Part of the issue is that I have multiple shoes.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
We have a shoe rack that only can fit three pairs of shoes.
No, that's not true. It is a 3-level shoe rack. Yeah. So there's space on there, but you do switch out your shoes a lot. And I do as well. But see, when I see that there isn't any space, I take one and I put it in my closet.
So it's just being mindful.
Yeah, just being mindful. And then the socks, you still do it. You'll put your shoes, next to the shoe rack. And then you'll go walk throughout the house, and then you're like, oh, let me take my socks off, and then I have socks in the middle of the kitchen. So instead of me saying, babe, pick up your socks every single day, I'm just like, when I walk by, I'm like, pick it up and just put it in the basket.
Yeah, I need to do better when it comes to be more mindful.
Oh Lord, you've been saying this for how many years?
Because because you at least for me, I can speak for myself. Yeah, I forget. When something that you're so comfortable, with, you have to build. They say bad habits die hard.
Yeah, that's true.
And for me to break that habit, as far as I take my shoes off at the door, put it there, and when you're just tired and you're not thinking, you drop your shoes wherever you drop them, then you walk in your comfortable socks wherever you're gonna be at.
These excuses.
Yeah, and then you lay down. You lay down, and then you drop your socks somewhere. Oh, and then goodness. Look. Sometimes I even wonder, how did socks end up there? Like, I'll be in the kitchen and dining room, and under one of the dining chairs, I'm like, how the socks there?
Yeah, but you don't pick them up though.
That's true.
See what I'm saying? Yeah. He'll leave it there. And then the boys, I felt like they started kind of picking up that habit a little bit too. They'll come in, take their shoes and their socks off, and they just throw them everywhere. Yeah. I'm like, no, boys, there's a shoe rack. Put it there. Put your dirty socks in your basket. So now they're starting to pick up that habit. So you gotta start early.
You gotta get them tight, just so you gotta get me tight. I'm like your child too, so you gotta get me tight.
This is true.
Because when the boys, when I pick up the boys and we come to the house. I said, all right, take off your shoes, take off your shoes. Yeah. I don't even look when they put the shoes or the socks. I just, all right, let's get in the living room. And then we're doing whatever we do. And, you come back, you're like, look at your socks, look at your shoes. I was like, oh man.
Exactly.
That's my habits becoming their habits.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's up to me, the boss lady, to keep order in this house. But that's really like the only thing. Other than that, I mean, you have a few little habits that I've learned to kind of deal with.
There's more?
Yeah.
Tell me more. I didn't know there's more.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You could.
Look at us airing our dirty laundry.
Yeah.
Speaking of laundry, no, your closet is always a mess. But
Wow,
see, that's why
my
we have
closet,
his and
yeah.
hers closets. You know, mine stay nice and neat. Yours is.
Look. You know, every 2 months or so, I say, you know what, this closet is so disgusting. Let me get this together. You know, and I put it together. It's cleaned up, and then like every random moment, you may do it for me, and it's just
Right.
wow, look how clean it looks.
And you keep it up for a while.
Yeah, I keep it up. I said, look, I'm gonna keep it like this. You know, everyone does that. You know, when everyone does it with the dishes.
Yeah, I know.
Where people are like, man, you know, for now on, every time I finish a meal, I'm gonna clean this dish and put it up.
Well, that's me.
Yeah, you do that now.
Yeah, I clean the kitchen.
You're saying that after every time you eat a meal, you clean the dish right then and there.
Oh no,
and then put it up.
But that's my dad. My dad is like that.
For real?
Yeah, that's his thing. Dishes? Oh no. He does not like dishes in the sink. After you eat, you have to clean that plate and fork and cup. You cannot leave it in the sink.
Did y'all do it? Y'all did it based on his discomfort.
Oh yeah. Growing up, yeah.
Was that a good thing though?
It was annoying. It was. I mean, he's still like that. He'll come to our house and you know, he'll cook and he'll clean. Well, you know, he clean up after themselves, but let me eat something in my house. And he's like, "Bly, you didn't wash your dish." I'm like, this ain't your house. What you saying? Like, as long as the sink is empty by, you know, the end of the night, that's how we run it, you know, things in this house.
Don't you feel, tell me if you agree with this. Do you feel that we all deserve a few bad habits?
Of course. That's why I don't say anything. You know, I mentioned stuff in the past about, you know, your socks and all this picking up. But, you know, after a while, you just like, you know what? I'm sure I have habits that get under your skin too. Like, what are some habits that I have?
There's only been one, and we addressed this, and it's the funniest thing.
Yeah, because it comes up like at least once a year.
Look, it actually happened. It actually happened with a young lady that I was talking to a long time ago. And
I love hearing about his past, y'all. I do. I don't know why, but I love it.
And this one, you know, this was on a different level, you know, because I'm gonna get back to you, but this is where it stemmed from.
Okay.
Is that, okay, when I would go to her apartment, you know, I'll take my shoes off at the door, but then I'll have my socks. By the time I make it from the front door to, you know, her couch, I have the bottom of my socks dirty, dusty, crumbs all in it. And I was like, hey, you know, I was trying to tell her, I was like, hey, you gotta sweep.
Oh my God.
So she felt I was micromanager by her telling her to sweep. I was like, but look at my sock. There's so much crumbs and stuff like that on my socks. And then when she would clean the counters, you see like you know, that white film all over the counters, all over everything. And I was like, hey, you know, this. And then she was like, well, this is my place and all that. I'm like, well, if I'm coming in and out of this place and I'm coming out dirtier than how I came in.
Oh my God.
You know, and that, you know, obviously that was a particular issue.
Look at you bringing your past relationships into this one.
No. And, you know, when it was early in the game with us, when we started staying together. And
no, this was while we were dating. I know. You brought this up.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. While we're dating.
Yeah.
That's what I meant actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And, you know, you would clean downtown for me or clean my spot, and I would appreciate it, which I still do. And, you know, after you clean, the stove would have all these.
No, don't say all these.
Okay.
You're exaggerating. Try to make me look like, look, y'all come to my house, it's going to smell like bleach. So don't say all these.
Okay. So the stove would have streaks, which is just a stove. So it's not as if it was everywhere.
Right. And this is like an electric stove.
Yeah, electric stove. So the flat stove.
Yeah.
And it'll have these light streaks. And then I would mention it, say, hey, you know, if there's streaks, you know, it's not all the way clean, you know? And that caused a little dissension between us.
Yeah, it did.
You know, but a lot of that stems from like the business I'm in. I'm in the cleaning business. I have car washers, I have detailers who go out and they clean cars. And the part that I tell them is the most crucial is that front windshield.
Right.
I said, you put a streak on that front windshield, they're going to think you didn't clean the entire car.
No, you're right. And
I think that's perception with anybody, you know? So it's always so important to me. Like I get on so hard as far as like, even when it comes to training, the first and foremost thing is that front windshield got to be perfect.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't care what you got to do, what you need to do. That front windshield, because it's like the soul of the car in a way. You know,
that makes sense.
So that kind of goes into my like regimen when it comes to like how I clean. And if I saw a streak somewhere, just based on practice, I don't want to see that. You know,
y'all. Let me tell y'all what he did. So my mom comes to visit, and she cooks every time she comes. And she was cleaning the kitchen at the end of the night. This guy, my husband, pulls me into the kitchen and was like, look, your mom didn't leave any streaks. When I tell you I wanted to pour hot grits on you that night, I said, threw it back in my face.
Oh, man.
At least once a year, y'all.
Yeah, well.
But we could laugh at it now because it's funny.
We could definitely laugh at it because this is part of what we talk about when it comes to communication. I'm not scared to communicate anything to you at all. And you're not scared. I know for sure because you bring up anything when it comes to something I need to kind of like take notes on or look out for, or something I need to kind of be more aware of.
Right.
So I feel like, you know, because I know they ain't looking for no like real tips. They're just trying to figure out, all right, what do I need to do to kind of make this thing work? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the way to make it work when you move in with somebody and transition is to have those conversations, no matter how hard.
Yeah, because it's going to get hard.
Yeah. But see, I don't feel like it'll get that hard whenever you're having those conversations.
Right.
You know, and look.
But those conversations are hard.
Yeah, yes, they are very hard.
Because you don't want to offend anyone. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So like me, I try to deal with it myself and I keep it bottled up, and then one day I just explode. You know what I mean? So those conversations are hard to have, but it is important because that's the only way you can live with someone.
Yeah.
You have to have those conversations.
Yeah, but then, you know, there is a limit when it comes to the amount of times, because you have to pick your battles.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, this again, like I was saying, like people are allowed a few bad habits, you know, so you can't get on everybody about everything thinking they need to be perfect when you're not perfect.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So when and that's the worst part, when someone manages somebody to do something in a way when that's just their preference.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I said, you know, to the person who I was talking to about, you know, the whole transition, is that if I say something to you about what you need to do or whatever, and it doesn't make you better, then that's just a complaint.
Right. And that's the thing. I complain a lot. So I try not to have these. That's the thing. You have to understand what's a complaint and what is, like, I guess, trying to be helpful or constructive criticism. Because like I've told you before, I love when you grocery shop because you buy things that I don't even think about buying. But I hate when you put the groceries up because you don't put it in the organization that I want. You know what I mean? That I set up. So if I came to you and said, hey, you put this in the wrong spot, that's a complaint because that's my personal preference, you know? So
that's a great example.
Yeah. You guys just have to like understand what is a complaint or what is actually going to help you guys grow together.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And some people want, you should do it like this. You should do it like that. That's how you should do it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and then what he said was like, you know, like actually a real bar. He's like, look, I'm gonna do it the way I do it. And you know, if what you're telling me helps me do what I'm doing better, if it doesn't help me do what I'm doing better, then you need to do it.
Yeah. I mean, remember one time, I don't know when we moved into this house, but I was washing dishes with a towel and you were like, no, use a sponge. And I kind of like went back and forth with you a little bit because I was like, no, I grew up using a towel. And you're like, a sponge is anti-something.
Yeah, antimicrobial. Yeah. Or whatever, microbial.
And so, something, yeah. And I switched it and I was like, oh, I like a sponge better, you know? But then when my mom comes, every time she comes, she grabs a towel to do the dishes because that's what she was taught. And she gets upset with me when I use a sponge, you know? So it's just like.
That's wild.
I know, right? Yeah. So it's like the sponge. To me, I had to learn how to like adapt to, I guess. And then I realized this is way better, you know?
So you gave yourself opportunity to accept things
that'll make you better.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
And man, you know, and this is the last one. So, you know, cause I know you probably got to go in a second.
Oh yeah. Doctor's office.
Yeah. You know, okay. When something spills in the house, this is something we differed on, which I don't ever have a real issue with it, but what you know what I'm
the
about
towel in the kitchen,
the towel or
paper towels
or paper towel.
See, I'm big on using paper towels. You use the kitchen towel.
Like if water falls on the floor or water falls on the counter, I use a towel.
Right.
my thinking is if I use a towel, it'll eventually dry, and then you can reuse it until that towel is dirty, and then we replace the towel.
Right.
And I don't think to use the paper towel because I'm like, I'm gonna just use the paper towel, not even use the entire thing, and wipe up water or a small stain, and then throw it in the trash. I'm just adding to like more trash.
See, I'm okay if you use the towel, but make sure you hang the towel back up so it can dry. You will just ball it up and leave it on the counter, so then it's damp and it's moldy for like 3 days. You know what I mean? So that's another thing that we still kind of like. I look at him cross-eyed when I see him doing it. And I'm like, I ain't even gonna say nothing. And then we got a kitchen full of like random wet towels, damp towels all over the place. Where I'm like, see, paper towel, throw it in the trash. To me, it's a lot cleaner.
And I've changed the way that because I used to not use paper towels almost at all.
At all, yeah.
Just because I feel like we need to use that paper towel when it's completely needed.
Right.
Where
exactly.
every square inch of that paper towel is going to be used for whatever we're going to clean with
right,
it,
right.
So now with a towel I would use a towel just to do like super light cleaning, but then if there is something I would get a paper towel.
Right.
You've
grown.
I have. Do you know the word or the phrase of the day?
What's that?
Moral hazard.
Moral hazard. I feel like I've heard that before.
Okay. You know what moral hazard is?
No.
You want to take a guess? Okay.
No, I don't want to take a guess.
Yeah, that's the way.
Because then you're going to hit the buzzard and all that.
Okay. Moral hazard is when you take a risk on something because the consequence of that risk won't happen, right? Let me give you an example.
Okay.
Right? Is that when they created seatbelts because too many people were dying from car accidents, they thought that less people will die.
Okay.
And more people will be saved, But what ended up happening is that when they put those seatbelts in, people drove faster. People drove crazier because the consequence of the risk they're taking was in essence not happening anymore or at least in their mind because of the seatbelt.
Right.
So more people end up dying and more people end up getting injured because of the seatbelt.
Makes sense.
So there's a lot of moral hazard in everything that like whenever you don't have a risk of the consequence happening, a lot of it's happening even during this protesting, even some of the riots that you see is that, okay, I'm going to break these glasses and break these cars and do all this and vandalize because I know there's not going to be a consequence to it.
Right.
And when there isn't a consequence to it because everyone's focusing on something else, there is moral hazard and more people are going to start doing destructive things because the blame will go to Black Lives Matter. The blame will go to the wrong place. So therefore, there's a lot of moral hazard that's happening.
Makes sense. I like that.
Interesting word, right?
Yeah.
Or is it a phrase?
Phrase.
Yeah. Phrase that pays.
Words.
Yeah. So this has definitely been this has definitely been a good one.
Yeah, definitely.
Appreciate y'all for joining us on this one. I'll see you all next week. And we love you. See you later.
Bye.
Oh. I forgot I did the whole as it starts up. And but yeah, see y'all later.
Bye guys.
I just want to say that we love you and we also love your questions. So if you have any questions and feedback, anything you would like us to talk about, please throw that our way. See you later.